Also, having practiced among many different kinds of traditions throughout my life, really beginning in elementary school with the fascination of astral traveling. I thought as a child that it was fascinating, the idea that I could leave my body and travel, fly through the universe. So at that time is when I first started practicing with breathing techniques, affirmations, meditations, and visualizations, things of this nature, trying to astral travel, have an out of body experience from that age. This then, of course, led through all different kinds of studies through my life and into mantra and into India, searching for my master. I was fascinated with Mahavatar Babaji and the idea that these immortal siddhas were always present is what first drew me to India, searching for Babaji. Then, as things progressed, kind of, you could say that my sadhana or spiritual practices had got me very outside of the normal society. I was having trouble integrating and understanding how to show up in the world and contribute in a real valued way, but also still be in congruency with the sadhana practices, the spirituality, and what was really deeply meaningful and important to me in life. So this then actually led me into starting to study in some of the academics, going back into universities, studying all these different types of holistic healing arts, massage even, and then again that kind of led me into getting a little fed up with academia and all this kinds of heady knowledge without the actual direct real practice. So again, I went to India for a period of like 8.5 months from there and did a very immersive sadhana practice, which then again brought me back out, and I had met my wife, and I had a son. So this also changed my life a lot, where I needed to really be able to show up in the world and do my duty, my dharma, but also my values were so important to me that I had to only be able to do something in the world that could actually be a benefit and serve people. So over time, this has again led me even deeper into this hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, and these type of studies, which has been for me like the ultimate gift to
দেখি
integrate these teachings.
এই সকলোৱে আৰু মানে ওলাইছিলোঁ আৰু অঁ
Let's mute that for a sec. For me, hypnotherapy then has provided this perfect bridge for how these higher mystical teachings, these ancient yogic psychologies and maps of the mind that the masters, the sages have left us, which nowadays can be very difficult for people to integrate into life because that they face problems in life or these challenges in their daily life. This is where hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, and these models begin to bridge and reach up to these levels because they provide us the tools to access directly into this deeper intelligence that is talked about in yogic psychology in order to make rapid transformations in our life with these kinds of basic problems that people face, such as anxiety, depression, habits of anger that they may want to change, bad habits such as smoking or drinking that they feel like they're really stuck in the conscious mind. But when we stimulate this deeper intelligence, then the transformation can become rapid, essentially. So along those lines too, because we had someone who came in and commented in regards to rapid transformation, because some people do have this idea that all transformation is going to be slow, and the truth is that our lives are very custom and super intelligent as life is living itself. So everyone is in the perfect place, facing the perfect challenges just for them wherever they are at this time. So we cannot speed up or take away somebody's challenge before they get all of the blessing or the real value from that challenge. And then everyone has their own rate and speed of this journey in life, which doesn't mean that it doesn't mean faster is better. So I did want to talk about that and frame it like this basically because that I had basically picked those words, rapid transformation, because it is something that I focus on in my work a lot, is that we can have these changes so fast, and it is a thing that some NLP practitioners and hypnotists that work at this level and caliber, especially coming from neuro-linguistic programming and NLP, that we can do these fast phobia changes in 15 minutes or an hour, then it pushes this idea across that maybe the change should be rapid, and that's not necessarily true. It's perfect how everyone goes at their own rate and speed with it, even if it takes somebody the same change that would take an hour, if it takes them 5 hours or 10 hours or longer to really be ready for that, that's still, it's just right for you. So that is a thing that some practitioners can sometimes even get, a little out of balance with, potentially NLP practitioners and stuff like this, where they're really focusing on the magic of NLP to make these kinds of transformations and shifts within 15 minutes or an hour, when in reality, it should always, when we're doing this kind of service work, it should always be customized to the client's specific needs, to their process. They shouldn't be pushed preemptively to go through some sort of a change process at a speed faster than is comfortable for them. Everything should be done completely customized to the needs of the client. And actually, as far as change work goes, if you're in a service position as a psychologist, whoever comes along and watches this, or as a hypnotist, or a healer, any sort of a people service profession, the ultimate technique of this is simply holding this space, this energy of blessing, of benevolent attention, where you go first, so to say. So if it's like we're doing trance work like hypnosis, to be able to enter into this trance state ahead of them, where your trance is holding a space of compassion, basically compassion and blessing, like seeing them being blessed with this energy or this vibration that you're holding. You could even imagine it as a light passing from you to them, and in such a way that this super intelligence, this light, this deeper consciousness within us coming through in trance, in communion with our deeper intelligence, will just simply reach out and bless this person, will guide them in the perfect way just for them. And just this single technique is probably the most powerful, profound hypnosis technique that anyone could use in change work with another person. Simply holding this energy of benevolent attention, of blessing for them, and going first into this space of compassion, of love, of caring, where you're looking to the wholeness of their being. You're looking to something really amazing to happen for them, but it's not necessarily us then trying to project our ideas onto somebody of how they should behave or what they should do or what is right or wrong, but holding this space of such an attention and blessing that they're just going to discover that on their own, whatever is just perfect or just right for them. So that could be about the most powerful thing that a hypnotist, a change work practitioner, therapist, even a doctor, somebody who's working with people could do. It's all about each one's individual place in this pathway of life, because we all carry a unique perspective, a unique set of experiences, and as far as the divine intelligence is concerned, yogic psychology, this higher understanding of the mind is one. Even what appears with mind as a dividing force within consciousness is one. We divide it in our perception or our dream of the world into these many, but it's one. And Siddhars like Ramalinga Swami, who had been said to turn his body to immortal light, even going backwards in age and turning his body to immortal light, had said that this immortal life within him, if the compassion was to leave from his body, that the life would also be gone. So what this means is that this compassion, this love feeling, is the connection and understanding of how all life as one. And this understanding inside is what starts to unify all aspects of being inside and out. And actually, our deeper intelligence, the deeper mind, already knows and functions on these kinds of truth, whether our conscious mind is aware of it or not. So what this means is that our mind, from the tip of the iceberg, the conscious mind, all the way down, is connected directly to superconscious mind or super intelligence of the whole of nature, Prakriti, and all awareness. So our unique experience is part of that wholeness of God's knowledge, you could say. This consciousness, this awareness, this field that pervades all of nature, all beings, all experiences, all possibilities of experience, and ours, yours, is a very important part of the totality, the wholeness of that super intelligent knowledge, the wholeness of life. Each one of us fits into a special place, and this is why we can't necessarily project our perfect scenario of the world or what should and shouldn't be done on somebody. And the real ability to do good change work like this is to be able to listen, to show up and pay attention and listen with them. So all these kinds of things really that make one an incredibly advanced or powerful change worker, a hypnotist or an NLP practitioner or a coach, something like this, they are actually very simple, profound truths about life, simple things of human connection, of being present and listening rather than being up in our heads of all these different stories and projections and things like this. Simply connecting. So in this way, the life life is taking care of itself in many ways, and it is all included at all these different levels, all the solutions to life. And hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, helps us to stimulate that deeper intelligence within us to find the solutions that are perfect for each one of our unique situations and needs. And as far as then these yogic knowledges, when we were talking the other day, Samyak, you had mentioned how it is your view that psychology is not necessarily complete without yoga's understanding of the mind. And in the same way that yoga, just doing practices with your body, is not complete without the psychology, the yogic psychology, this mastery of the mind and understanding of what is the mind and how does it work. So the thing about the modern systems of the mind, neuroscience and things like this, is there have been incredible advancements made in neuroscience and modern sciences, but the truth is that no new science or modern science has a complete understanding of the mind and what is consciousness. There's all these different theories around it in science, and some scientists, because it is the general kind of flavor or perception of the modern world or society, that that our systems or developments and technologies are more advanced than they have ever been in human history, which is just actually, an idea. It's a perception of things. And the reality is that really the ancient cultures were far more advanced in so many levels as archaeologists are continuing to find the more that they search and the more that our own technologies get more advanced so that we're able to more accurately test some of these ancient sites and things like this. So basically what I'm saying is that these models that have been left by the ancient sages, the rishis, the seers, the yogis, the siddhars, they are the most complete metaphors, models, and systems of the mind and consciousness that are on the earth today. And even my mentors in hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, who have also, some of them, been psychologists, they all basically say, in my teachers and tradition anyways, that the same thing is what I'm saying, that there is not a very accurate or complete model in the modern scientific system, and that if you really want to get a greater understanding of the mind, to look into the writings from ancient cultures, the Buddhist psychology, the Yogic psychology, all these ancient writings from incredible masters and seers in ancient times in India up until today, where these beings have directly researched in their mind with consciousness, because we have this here. We have our direct capacity to be able to research and explore who are you really, truly? What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be human? All these things we have this capacity to directly explore. And these masters, these sages, these seers from India had spent, in modern times, decades, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, an entire lifetime in isolation, exploring and directly discovering what it really means to be human and this mind. And so that's why, in this way, we have the most complete models. The thing about life, the mind, being human, is that it's so vast, it's so big, it's so infinite, even in the highest truths being simple, such as all life is one. All life is one is a very simple truth. And yet, contained within this truth of all life is one is the infinity of the universe, the connection of all of the intelligence sharing in one field of information, of wisdom, of experience. So within that simplicity, it expands into dimensions and dimensions and dimensions. And this is basically the problem with trying to make a model of the mind, of truth, of reality, of life, is that the best that we can do is we make metaphors. And even language itself, all words are symbols and metaphors. And this is why that some people can look at these ancient writings and these scriptures and it becomes difficult to understand, because sometimes the metaphors, the symbols, don't match for our own personal map of the world or filters. However, these models are a tool and a map that you can use to explore, to help to discover the pointers, the signs along the way to explore. So the thing about these truths is that if they're not clearly understood, one can simply contemplate them further, and you don't have to accept somebody else's interpretation of the truths. In fact, I would not necessarily suggest that you openly just accept somebody else's interpretation of the truth without first checking in inside on how that applies to you and your understanding and your life. And it's contemplating the truths like this that the map or the pathway, the roadway, one's own direct pathway will open up to contemplating. So things like this that were said, through renunciation alone is immortality received, this Upanishad. Now, in modern days, this can often be interpreted as a very religious kind of a statement, and with our ideas of what is renunciation and going off to be a monk and leaving away all the world and all this. But if I were to offer a deeper interpretation or meaning of this contemplation, how I've contemplated this idea, through renunciation alone, immortality is received. The thing is that our mind is a dreaming machine. When it's filled with all these symbols, this imagery, the dream of life, then how will we see anything else but what we are focused on and what we are dreaming, essentially? So it's by being able to let go and detach from whatever is within the mind, within our experience, who we think we are, who we think we'll be or have been, where we're going, the past, the present, future, what life should be like, right and wrong, all of these things. If only for a moment, then we can detach back into what was then, like, for example, they said you will only be able to realize the truth through purity of mind and heart. And then oftentimes in this day, this can be interpreted in a sort of religious, divisive way that that means I must have certain kinds of thoughts that are good thoughts and not bad thoughts. But the reality is that all thoughts are information within the mind, within the field of consciousness. There's energy, movement, Shakti, all of these thoughts, perceptions, the information, the senses, all of this is movement. And unless we can be able to clarify that so that we're not looking through a dirty window, so we can clean the window, so to say. Not that it's um, just only one kind of thought, so I need to live a religious and good, pure life, but that you clear the mind of thoughts, renounce, if only for a moment, just to be clear and to really explore, what is this life? Who am I? What does it mean to be human? The thing is that when we do like this, the more we connect directly to who we are, to this deeper intelligence within us, we will find that all of that goodness is already inherent within us. It is our nature as the self. And only all this other complexity and confusion has seemed to come afterwards, like clouds in the sky. And yet the sun is always shining, even if it's restricted, because the sky has been completely filled with clouds. So, and this is why I like certain things about models in neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy, is that in the direct discovery of how our minds are working and functioning, which even if they don't completely understand where it comes from or how it's working, but seeing the effects of our deeper intelligence in trance work with hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, certain presuppositions of NLP have been formed, which give us like a model of how to view people in order to facilitate good changes, or rapid changes, or the perfect changes for them. And the thing is that there's presuppositions like there's no such thing as negative intentions. There's only negative behaviors that are ineffective and inefficient to express those intentions. So this shows you that our deeper intelligence, no matter what the conscious mind thinks about things, the unconscious mind, as it's called in science, or I like to call it the superconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, our deeper intelligence, this deeper consciousness, which is aware of all of our life experiences, all of our memories, even information that was filtered from our conscious mind and runs the body. This level of intelligence, it is inherently good. It is connected to the nature of the self. It is a direct reflection and like an extension of that. It leads directly into the super conscious mind, the God mind, the super intelligence of nature, and it reflects that in many ways. Another one of the NLP presuppositions, which basically points this out, is that it's stated as the unconscious mind takes everything personally. And what this means is that to, at a certain level, our every perception, our every thought, everything that we say about another, that we say about the world, if we're saying like gossip or bitter things about people, our deeper intelligence takes this as a self-suggestion, because at a certain level, it does not recognize the same distinction as our conscious mind of like an inner and outer world, or a self and other. It has this direct understanding, a reflection of the truth that all the self is really one. And so the understanding of these kinds of things can actually be completely profound. If we really contemplate this and practice this in our life, then everything starts to make sense, that the sages, the seers had said that God is love, or that love is the best way to worship, to do simple acts of service, to help someone smile and relieve their suffering, to provide medicines or healing to ease that pain, to ease the suffering of hunger, which is a very special kind of pain, because when we eat together, it brings us together in that feeling of connection, of comfort, of community and love, where beings become equal, whether you're a king or a sage, a beggar, whoever you are. When you're really brought to being humble with that pain of hunger, and then we eat together, then everyone is on the same level. So this is why you see this so prevalent through all the teachings of many different sages and masters, just to feed people. But all of this starts to make sense when we really get an understanding of these kinds of truths, like are in the NLP presuppositions, that the unconscious mind takes everything personally, so that my every word is really as a word about myself. And that's why I should only lift up others and speak kindness for them. And even if the mind thinks that somebody else is on the wrong path or making mistakes or something like this, if I speak and judge them like this, the truth is that whatever is seen is only seen in our own minds, or through a filter of our own minds. So even if we think of another, the image of that other that comes into our mind is an aspect and part of our own mind. So this is how it's taking everything personally in a way. And if we take that image of this person, which is really just a part of our own mind, and we're like, that person is nasty and they're bad and I don't like them, we're really saying this about a part of ourselves, or about ourselves in a way, literally. So this is where all these things just start to come together and really make sense, and provide a practical pathway of action and steps and integration in life, where even the highest, most loftiest ideas or truths of the sages do integrate and fit into life, which really leaves a lot of inspiration for humanity at this point, because there's so much for us to rediscover and redevelop and share out into the world at this time, so that we can transform this society, this human world, into the amazing and beautiful human society and world that it can be, because of this incredible intelligence, this incredible genius within us to be able to solve problems and things like this. So this is an awesome and amazing time for humanity and for all of us, with so much opportunities for people to go out and directly rediscover what is possible for humanity, and what we can do, even to the level like the Siddhars and the the legends of the Siddhar medicines, which could extend the life of the body for thousands of years and make it impervious to elements, weapons, and things like this. This kind of knowledge, which was hidden away before we entered into this previous time that we've just passed through, because it was known that humanity was not going to be at the level of intelligence that they could safely handle such knowledge. And look at the past that we've gone through. I mean, many people in India nowadays are really looking to their TVs. Even with Modi, roads have been built to tiny little villages that never had roads in so many history that we can't even remember now. And they have lived unbroken village lifestyles up until this time, in very similar ways as they have for hundreds of years, or thousands of years. This is knowledge. This is advanced knowledge because this continued and these people survived in this way for hundreds of years and even thousands of years in these little villages in India. And now the TVs are coming to them and people are looking at the TVs and they're getting this sparkle, looking at this exciting things of the TV. The TV is designed like this, of course, too, but they're looking at the TV and they're getting excited and they're like, I'm missing these things in the TV. And look at this great sparkly Western culture. But let me bring to your attention that the United States of America, which is really like the metaphor, the symbol of this kind of culture represented by the TV, has not been around for more than 300 years. And in this space of time of less than 300 years, this country is already very much literally in danger of destruction and collapsing itself from inside from inefficiency of this culture because this kind of culture is destroying itself. It's no culture that does not have these simple roots like you would find in ancient Indian culture, this that has survived for thousands of years, that has carried humans forward sustainably and intelligently for thousands of years. And really, literally, it's getting to the point that in these other developed countries, so-called developed countries, Europe, Japan, United States of America, and stuff like this, you'll find that because of the toxic lifestyles of behavior, of thoughts, of the foods that are taken in with all these different chemicals and stuff like this, it is getting to the point where there are more people growing old and dying than children are being reborn. So this is literally not a sustainable society, that this society would basically, if it were to continue with those same patterns and statistics and what we're seeing in the results, the graphs like this, how there's more people dying than children being born, it would literally destroy itself. There would be no people left to continue that world or society. So really consider that. Really consider the wealth of culture, of what is really wealth. And this is coming out in the times that whether people are aware of it or not, I think that I see, and many sages have said, regardless of what happens with the difficulties of the times that we're passing through right now with, the dramas in the world and stuff like this, Corona, we will not only always survive any one of these challenges, but we are going to be coming into a great age of awakening, a real age of mastery, where many of these beings are going to be directly discovering within them this connection to super intelligence, to the highest guidance, and bringing forth new technologies, new awareness in life, because even technology is not the problem. Business per se is not the problem. Money is not the problem. The only problem is ignorance. And when these businesses with lots of money, with lots of power, growing more and more material resources and this kind of power, are making the wrong kinds of decisions, the wrong kinds of products, the wrong kinds of processes in ignorance, then we get the results of ignorance. It's just natural like this. So, for example, then when we take profit, the idea of profit, which means getting ahead or expanding, increasing, and we take ecology out of that, which is the understanding of the results of our actions, our activities, there cannot actually be profit. It's complete ignorance to think that you can get ahead in life, be increasing, and yet at the same time diminishing because we're destroying ourselves. So say if we're killing our customers by putting poison in the products that we serve them, we may be able to serve them for a lifetime or two or three, but as the DNA is breaking down from the generations consuming these chemicals, these poisons over and over again, eventually the customer is killed off and there's nobody else to sell the products to. It's not going to be profitable in the long run. Profit includes ecology and understanding of the results of the processes, the results of the products, and naturally it includes wanting to really serve your customer, give them real value, not just get money from them, take from them, but actually what you can serve to them, what you can provide to them, what you can contribute to the world. It's increasing value rather than diminishing it. So when humanity applies our intelligence, our knowledge to the technologies that we're creating, to the businesses that we're using, all of these things will then reflect this knowledge, this understanding, and they will look completely different. So we can create amazing technologies, and people already have with the incredible genius of humanity. We've created amazing technologies and solutions for many of the problems that the world thinks that it has, but they're just kind of sidelined from the mainstream because that in the old age of society, real knowledge was not necessarily supported, real truth. There was this idea of arrogance or academic knowledge being somehow complete or full or better than this other knowledge, where then other pieces of knowledge and science are just swept aside. We're like, this is only science, what we believe is science, and we're right, even if something that they've discovered over here completely proves that our model is not complete and we're wrong. People hold on to that feeling of pride, of superiority, or the arrogance that they are right or correct. And so this has been a flavor through the old society that we've seen, and why knowledge has not so much been supported. But it's up to each of us. It's up to you, to each one, to decide, how will we live this life? How will we create this world together as a humanity? And humanity is waking up at this time. And so we will see these kinds of transformations in business, in technology, so that together as a humanity, working together with our incredible work, efforts, and energy, and our incredible genius, directly connected to the super intelligence of nature, the whole of nature, and consciousness awareness, like this, sages, rishis saw, they were able to see solutions and bring knowledge. Each of us has this kind of connection, and more we are going to see this growing and expressing itself again in the world, in life. And each one has their own unique ability and powers to contribute to this whole of humanity and this vision of life. And so that is about all that I have for rambling through these kinds of topics. And I had mentioned that we could do a nice little 5-minute breathing meditation. And basically, it is a breathing meditation or trance training in self hypnosis, training yourself for self hypnosis so you can enter into a self hypnosis state and access this deeper intelligence within us. But the thing is that self hypnosis, hypnosis, meditation, they're really just different words for talking about very similar things. I mean, meditation, there are so many different things actually that even occur under this one umbrella term, the English word that people use, meditation. So not all meditation is even meditation. But anyways, so the terminology, people can get lost in terms and be like, oh, hypnosis, that's no good. Meditation is better, but in some ways there's really no difference. So you can pick whichever word that works best for you to understand. Other thing that I would say as far as for trance training is that a lot of people think of trances also as this thing where you're like not present, you're trancing out and you're dulling down awareness or something like this. And this is not necessarily how I understand a trance, or it's not necessarily the useful kinds of trances that we really access in hypnosis and things like this. A trance really means moving from this tip of the iceberg conscious thinking mind, which is like 5%, into that deeper intelligence, stimulating the deeper intelligence learning processes or exploration processes, self-discovery processes. We could call this trance. And so trance really is an increasing of awareness. It's an expanding of awareness. Depending on how you're using this intelligence within you, it may be a focusing it down into very concentrated details or one-pointed focus and awareness. It may be expanding out and seeing everything as one field of information, everything that's coming through the senses, everything that's in the mind, the appearance of body, the world, just appearing in consciousness like this. It could be expanding out like this, so there can be many different things you can do in trance, but primarily it is a deeper absorption in awareness, an increased awareness, an increased consciousness. It's not really a dulling down of it like many people would like to refer. So, Samyak, how would we do this? 5-minute guided thing. Should I just go ahead and jump into it, or do we want people to come on video? Or
I think first we have to
okay,
take some of the questions, and
okay,
after that, okay,
sure,
it is better. Okay, so I am requesting audience, he or she can put their question in chat box. And before their question, I would like to ask some questions to
okay,
you. The first question is a very common question. Very people confused with mind and consciousness.
uh-huh.
So how we can tell the difference between the mind and the consciousness?
So these are they're metaphors. They're symbols when we use words like this. And the thing is that when it comes to people talking about it, everyone can have a completely different understanding of what the word means or what the word is. And so sometimes people are talking about the exact same thing, but with different words or language, and then arguing about it. The scriptures of India basically have set certain systems to define the metaphors, each word, but Sanskrit terms and metaphors, these words, they are very deep symbols. They tend to be deeper than meanings are considered in other languages like English, for example, because for initiates, sannyasis, and things like this, certain kinds of swamis, depending on their lineages and traditions, are initiated in multi-levels or layers of meaning for each word in Sanskrit, like manas or chit, stuff like this. So they have multiple dimensions to the meaning, and then there are some layers of meaning that no one can teach you. There are the secret meanings or the subtle meanings, and what is really called secret in yogic knowledge means that no one else can tell you. You have to directly discover inside this knowledge, because the words will only take away from it. They'll distract from it, actually. It doesn't fit into those words, even Sanskrit words, which are much bigger terms. But anyways, they have been standardized to a certain extent within the scriptures, where they define the words for us and they say, this means this means this. So if we're to go by the scriptures, then mind is sitting on top of consciousness. So consciousness is first, and it's more expansive. It's a bigger part of the self. And then operating within consciousness appears mind as another instrument to experience consciousness. It's like a fractal reflection of consciousness that appears within consciousness. But it itself is only like this mirror, this reflection. It's an object of perception itself. We can perceive the mind. We can see the mind. But consciousness, depending on how we're defining consciousness, whether you say consciousness is the most subtle or awareness, pure awareness is the most subtle, they could be the same things based on how you're talking. The ultimate, most subtle principle cannot be seen. Like Shiva is called Alak, Agochar, invisible, unperceptible, because it cannot be seen, is the seer. Just like the eyeball cannot see itself. This metaphor is also used. Just like the eyeball cannot see itself, it sees. Everything that's seen is Shakti, Prakriti, nature. It's movement of energy. Mind can be seen, but the subtlest principle of awareness or consciousness is not seen. It's known immediately. Anytime you can see an object of perception, you can immediately reflect off of or contemplate the subtlest awareness or consciousness, because we cannot see the world. There's no Shakti without Siva. So we cannot see the world without the seer. And thus, awareness is immediately present like this. Consciousness is always there. but it's not seen. So this is the difference between mind and consciousness, as I would define it.
Thank you so much. I think we have to perform guided meditation first, then rest of the question we will take after that practice. So I would like to request all the participants who are currently join us, they can on their cameras if they are willing to do so. Otherwise,
Yeah, if
we
you
have
want
to
to.
uh, otherwise we have to follow the methods or the very deep experience by our honorable guest. So, as per his guidance, we have to perform technique for rapid transformation in our consciousness and mind. And now it's time for that technique, and we are very fortunate to learn that technique. And it's on our guest. After that, we will take some more questions too.
Okay, so yeah, if anyone wants to turn on the camera, that's fine. Either way, it just helps me to see basically your face and see how then, if there's responses, how that you're settling into the trance, and I can adjust then my language and stuff. See, I'm used to working, with clients one on one with face on the video, and we're trained to read physiology and see if there's shifts occurring and how one's settling. And so it just helps me to work in that way. But regardless, I can just talk at the group like this, and you can follow along. So this is going to be a training of the consciousness, the mind, for an access point into your deeper intelligence, your deeper consciousness, the deeper conscious mind. And this is really simple. It's just based on the breath. And I also like to frame this as something that you can do at any time or anywhere, any place you'd like to just take a pause. Because some people like to think of meditation as something that's hard or that they don't have time to practice or do. But anyone has time to just breathe for a moment, just for you. So go ahead and begin just noticing your breath. And you can notice the many different sensations of the breath. Perhaps the air passing through your nose or the back of your throat, the feeling of the chest rising and falling. As you pay attention to the breath, you can notice there's so many layers and dimensions to the breath that you can really feel inside with each breath, the space of you. And if you haven't closed your eyes already, you can go ahead and close your eyes just to focus even more deeply into the breath. Really just considering it a time to just pause and relax. Just taking time for you to just breathe and relax. And as you notice the many different layers and dimensions to the breath, all the different feelings that go along with breathing, you can notice how sometimes you breathe without even being aware that you're breathing. That some part of your intelligence, this deeper consciousness, runs this process of breathing even while you sleep. A deeper intelligence that maintains and manages all the processes of the body, the organs, pumping the blood in the heart, the movements of the muscles. A level of consciousness and intelligence within you which moves so fast it seems to be unconscious or automatic to the conscious mind. And yet that part of you is vastly more aware than the conscious mind. It knows everything about you better than anyone in the whole world. Having all these resources of your learnings, the knowledge, the many different lessons you've learned throughout your life, even having access to intuition, direct knowledge that seems to just come from the universe or nature. So really just take this time to breathe and relax, just for you. And you can consider deep within this space, this expansive space within you, who are you really? Who are you truly before thought? Who are you before thought, who sees all of this? A still center of being, while everything else is moving around that stillness of you. The center of everything that you see, and yet also above, beyond everything that's seen, pervading this entire field of perception and thought, the world. To really just take a moment to sense and feel, even beyond feeling, the truth of you, the wholeness of you, your wisdom, your love, your power. A place where each and every aspect, every experience of your life contributes to that wholeness and fits together for one complete being, the totality of yourself. So that when you get a complete sense of this space within you, knowing that you can access this space within at any time, simply by focusing in on your breath and remembering this place of your inner mind power. When it's formed as a complete sense of this being a new skill or a new level of your skill, to be able to easily take a pause and relax, even if only for one moment. And that superconscious mind, that deeper intelligence within you, can even learn this ability to the extent that any time in each place you need it, even with just the blink of an eye, in the back of your mind automatically, there's a little shift back to your center, back to your source of power, wisdom, knowledge, and knowing, so that whatever you may be doing in your life at that time, you just do it more efficiently, more effectively, is an expression of this power in place. The fullness of you, the wholeness of you, the stillness of you. So when it's completed on each level and place and space where it fits, so that you can access this at any time you'd like to with the breath, you can feel yourself coming back and the eyes opening into this room where you're watching this in the here and now. So yeah, I highly encourage the viewers, anyone who comes along and watches this, to consider that they can do this at any time they'd like to just take a little pause. Meditation does not have to be a difficult practice. It can start with just taking a moment at your desk or on the bus or anywhere you are, just to breathe like that. Even if you don't close your eyes, just focusing on the breath, relaxing and setting everything else aside for a minute, just for you, just to be you and to be more efficiently you. Because really, if you've got a job, if you've got duties, if you've got things to do, you can perform them even better from being able to center into your true wisdom, yourself, your power, your knowledge. Taking care of yourself in this way, even for those few moments, will make whatever else you have to do that much more effective, efficient, and better. So it's important that people take these times, even with our busy lives and things these days. It's important to take a pause and some time just for you like that, even if it is only for a breath, a minute, a 2 minutes, a few minutes. If someone makes a habit of doing this, breathing even for a minute or two every so often, just not like they're trying to do something or working at something, but just taking that time to explore and rest and relax, it will get to be more. It will expand. So it will get easier. And naturally, you will find yourself more and more absorbed in this experience within the breath, and your natural, spontaneous meditation, your dhyan, the guidance that's coming from the super intelligence within you, because there's so much to explore and see in there. There's a whole fascinating world inside, and the breath directly leads into that as a bridge, because the breath is such a magical part of our experience. The breath can either be a conscious activity, as we just saw how the consciousness can then pay attention, or primarily it's an unconscious or subconscious activity. It's a bridge between the outer world and the inner world. And some yogis will say even that the jivan is coming and going with the breath like this, that it doesn't really live in the body. It comes in and out of the experience of the body with the breath, and our thoughts, our feelings are mixing through the breath. How physics says that any gas that goes into the atmosphere will diffuse and expand out in all the available space. We are sharing our breath like this. Our every breath goes out and expands into the available space, and our every breath we take in is the diffused breath of all other living beings. So it's a direct connection between what appears as inside body and outside, and many other things too. It could just, the breath has so much to it and inside it and related to it and underneath it, that the breath in itself is enough to be a very powerful, complete tool for people to change their lives. So are there any more questions?
Thank you so much for providing a deep knowledge of ancient rishis meditation, or you have mentioned all the things very deeply and very deep knowledge. By you have mentioned about Upanishads, and the very interesting thing I got from your session today is the term yogic psychology. So, as per it, this is the oneness without any duality, seeing oneness in every, or we can say in every life, we have to see a oneness. In Hindi, it is said that ekatva. In Isha Upanishad, the first verse is that Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam. So being seeing the oneness of that, we can say the that super consciousness in everybody. And at last you mentioned that the power of our breath or our energy, that breath we can sum up that breath is life. So it's upon us how we can doing all the activities. Are we living with conscious mind, or we are living with just unconscious mind? So it's upon us. We have to not only live but take our a single breath with full of consciousness. You have also mentioned the two factors of compassion and blessing, or we can say love or blessing. And it is a very good factor for today's era. Without love and blessings, it is a very big part of today. So we have to be compassionate in ourselves. We have full of the feeling of love in ourselves, and blessed by all the things we have provided by super consciousness, or we can say God, or in ancient text it is called Paramatma, or the eternal soul, or the outermost soul, or the super soul. So according to that, we have to full of compassion, and each and every elements of this nature is full of compassion and love. We are getting sunlight, but we have not to pay single money for that. We are taking fresh air, but we have not to pay for that. And you have also mentioned very good example about the oneness, that the hunger. Hunger is a similar, whether it is small or big, whether it is animal or human being, whether in human being it is rich or a poor, it is a king or a beggar. So hunger can show us the oneness among all the lives. It is very brilliant example to feel the that concept of oneness or philosophy of oneness. And you also mentioned example from India, the village life, how they are surviving from thousands of years with that Vedic knowledge or the great Rishi knowledge. It is also very good example. And you also bring a positive effect about today's scenario in period of Corona, COVID, that we have to uh, challenges should be changed into opportunities. We have to see the positive side of today's era, not only just got depressed or feeling anxiety, or downing our mental status that, oh God, it is very bad. Not that, but we have to find out that light of eternal peace, eternal love, or the oneness through this time of challenges. So you have also mentioned few of your programs about NLP and hypnotherapy, advanced hypnotherapy. So it is not too much time to discuss all this. We have perform, or we have do more sessions with you, and enlighten the humanity. And you have also mentioned about the super consciousness, which is a very good concept and very important to be understood by all of us. Not only conscious, subconscious, unconscious, but there is another level is super conscious. And you mentioned that we have all the powers is within ourselves. So we have to just identify it, and we have to awaken it with so many interesting, valuable, and deep ancient scientific techniques, as you discussed a short intro with the meditation, that first we have to control our breath, then our mind, our consciousness, then everything around our life will be controlled. So this is a short briefing about your today's session. As per my understanding, it may be some up and down. So for that, you have to pardon me. This is a short. As I have to put two or three more questions. What is the message you want to deliver who are associated with the field of mental health, whether it is psychologist, psychiatrist or any other mental health professional, they are taking care of mental health issues all over the world, but they are lacking some concept, some deep concept about the mental health. So, as per your knowledge, as per the Siddhas, as per ancient rishis, what you want to deliver a divine message to him about the persons who are associated with mental health?
Um, so I guess to keep it really simple, hmm, yeah, to simplify it down to just one message, it would be to go first is what's coming. That's basically what I had said is the most powerful technique is this benevolent attention and holding people in blessing is when we do hypnosis is dropping into a light trance and going first. So to the extent that you go first, you'll be better able to hold others by the hand and help them or provide a bridge for them to come to where you are. Yeah. And the other
Oh,
thing though, that I would say just as far as for people working in mental health field, because of there is the influence of the Western like Freudian psychology that to understand that Freudian the psychology model that comes from Sigmund Freud is only one model among many, and it's become very popular in modern like medical psychology just because basically it supports that industry a lot. It doesn't necessarily help people a lot. It tends to make people suffer more, and then there's just the prescription of drugs for a lifelong customer. And so if my advice would be to people that are in a psychology field and a mental health professional like this is to go above and beyond just academic training to really find the stuff that helps people. So for me, it was Ericksonian's model of the unconscious mind and superconscious mind, which is quite different from Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud viewed the unconscious mind as being a dark place and kind of dirty and weird and strange. And then it kind of reflects in his model and his systems. Milton H. Erickson, who is a psychiatrist and psychologist, viewed the unconscious mind as being this body of incredible genius, where by stimulating this, people could find their own solutions, even to problems that they had had for 20 years or so long, just so fast. So to really go above and beyond and explore the knowledge that gives you the tools that work for you, where you know you can help people essentially, because that's why you go into a field like that with mental health and stuff. It's not just to be an important doctor or something and make money. It's to be able to serve and help people. And that's how all of our businesses, everything, whatever we're doing, it needs to be adding real value to the whole. It needs to be dharma in balance with the whole and in service of the whole. Otherwise, it doesn't fit because we're all in this together. We have to function together. Yeah.
okay. You have mentioned very well that the first anyone, not only field of mental health, should change his or her mind first, or before applying any techniques to others. You have also mentioned in your session about the Buddha psychology, or we can say that the Rishi psychology, or the ancient psychology, or Vedic psychology, which is not only for the treatment of the dysfunctions of mind, but also for the excellence of mind. So we should
Hmm.
also take care of that concept too, and try to adopt that eternal concept in our professional life. So it is a very better option. There are so many questions. Now it's time to wind up. At last, I want to just more introduction about yourself. Firstly, I want to provide a general intro about the books you have written. I have seen very interesting and deep knowledge with the title of your books, and also provide anyone who wants to join your therapy session or techniques, or anyone who wants to join with you, any contacts, mail, websites. So kindly provide this information.
Okay, so the easiest way to find the books is to search Darshan Baba on Amazon, or they're also can be found under Moksha Gyan books. There was one of them, Cosmic Consciousness and Healing with the Quantum Field, was set to be free as Kindle ebook version, and just recently Amazon changed it, so I kind of need to check into that because I like to have at least the one book always free for people available. The Kindle ebook version, at least, because it doesn't cost me anything for it to go as an ebook, so it can be free. But Amazon changed it, and it's like 70 rupees now just for the Kindle version. So I would like to change that when I can. So yeah, there's a handful of books: True Sadhana, Cosmic Consciousness and Healing with the Quantum Field, Yoga Sadhana, The Mother of the Universe, Babaji's Manasa Yoga of Moksha, and the newest book was the Upadesha of a modern sadhak, I think, something like this, right? These books can be found on Amazon around the world. You can find me on YouTube through Darshan Baba. You can search Darshan Baba on YouTube, and there's lots of these free videos, like we just did the breath meditation. There's another one like that, and there's some other short little meditations like the inner smile to boost your mood whenever you need a more positive mood and things like this. And the main website that I'm using is quantum-nlp-coach.com. But the thing is that if you search for me on YouTube, it'd probably be really easy to find Darshan Baba channel on YouTube. And then all of my YouTube videos will have links to my websites. So that may be the easiest way to find me almost. And I offer a free 15-minute gift introduction by Zoom meeting online like this, that anyone is welcome to come along and book those as long as I can fit them into my schedule. Thus far, I can still fit them in. I haven't gotten too busy for that yet. One day it may get too busy, and then I will have it always like a series of videos, free videos that people can watch that will take them through some of these gifts. My sessions are, my one-on-one sessions are in United States dollars. They could be pretty expensive for a lot of people in India, the rates. So depending on where you are in the world, and I still highly encourage anybody to come in for the free 15-minute introduction, even if they're not planning to become a client and do a full session down the road. And also, I can recommend other hypnotists and NLP practitioners that have studied in some of the same training programs that I have, because the one school that I've trained in is basically they're teaching the top level, most advanced stuff in the world. Some of the top level, most advanced, because there's some other really good schools too. But this is literally one of the best in the world that puts people ahead of like 90% of hypnotists in the field. And I know there's a handful of people in India that have been training with them for some time. There's some that are really good in India, and so people, they may have lower rates for anybody who's local in India, and they're also just as skilled. They're very good. They've been through some of the same trainings that I have, and I will also recommend to you, like I will ask if some of them are interested in coming on and doing a session with you like this. I know some that probably would be interested in coming and talking with you about NLP and hypnosis and the kind of stuff they do. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's, as I mentioned before, it's just a starting or beginning. We have to do work for dharma, as you mentioned, for betterment of humanity and for betterment of people, without any, we can say, without having any feeling of giving back. We have to just give whatever we have to the others. So this is a true path of dharma. We have the knowledge, we have to provide to others. We have money, we have to provide others in a valid reason, for a good purpose, and not for bad. And everything we have the power of body, so we have to serve accordingly. Everything God provide to us, we have to bring in the service of society and other one. So it's time is going over. At last I want to provide a conclude remark from your side about this session or the concept, or any conclude remark you want to provide. You can.
So I will conclude with I'm going to go back just a little bit and say that as what you were just mentioning about the Dharma and service like this, that I'm going to I have the free 15-minute introductions, and I am also going to actually start doing a day or two a week, probably a day where I will just fit into that day clients who cannot afford the services, free clients at a specific day. The only issue with that is that because that it'll be a free day like that for clients that can't afford it, it'll be some work to get in there because it'll build up a waiting list and stuff like that. Yeah, just because like you can only get so many people in at a time, one on one. The message that I would like to wrap this up with and conclude our session with is that going back to yogam, because we talked about yoga essentially a bit in here, and you went back over it and summed it up nicely, defining yoga. And basically, yoga or yogam is a complete union. Everything becomes oneness or one. So even duality, the appearance of duality also fits. It's beyond both duality and non-duality. Everything is included in this yogam. So the mind has this tendency to divide perceptions and things, but it's so simple just to remember this oneness, that yoga is oneness, and that applies then to all of our life, the way that we're thinking, the way that we're perceiving, the way that we're acting. How are we unifying and bringing things more and more together in the expression of this truth of wholeness, of oneness, that we're all in this together as one humanity, that humanity is in this together as part of one whole of nature, that the body even itself is the manifestation of Prakriti. It's Bhumi Devi. It's not necessarily mine, in the mind how it thinks this is my body. It's Prakriti, it's nature, it's part of nature, it's part of this whole of the human community. And that's Dharma, is this understanding and reflection, expression of this, is how does this body fit into the whole and serve the whole, not like how can the whole serve me, or what more can I get from me, but naturally how do I serve? The body is only there as part of this whole to serve and everything. So yoga is this very simple though infinite bringing of everything in life together as one. And so I have a saying that I like to say, which is love, all life is one, or that love is the expression and realization of all life is one, or love is the realization and expression of all life is one. So that would basically be my concluding message for today.